Good afternoon. I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee. Today is December 2nd, 2015. This is the last meeting of 2015. I'm Councilmember Blong Yang. I'm chair of this committee. With me today are the following council members: Councilmember Wright, Councilmember Palmisano, Councilmember Gordon, Councilmember Warsame, and Council President Johnson. Today we have five items on the agenda. The first item is item for public hearing regarding civil rights and board and commission appointments. The second item is second, third, and fourth items are consent items, and the second item is a detox van service contract with Hennepin County. The third item is bomb disposal unit grant award. The fourth item is bomb security services contract amendment with Minnesota Timberwolves. And then the fifth item is a discussion item. It's an item regarding Contract Compliance Division 2015 third quarter report. And I believe, Councilmember Palmisano, you have a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, you've moved to approve the agenda, right?
Right.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask for an amendment on the agenda. I'd like to also have some time to include public comment for those here that may wish to speak to any matter regarding to the recent events in the 4th precinct.
Okay.
I think we should also do that for a time certain. So maybe if people could keep their comments to a few minutes and we make that time available for up to an hour.
Okay. That sounds like a plan. Council members, any discussion on that? Councilmember Gordon?
I think it's fine. I guess my only concern is if we take up this topic now, what about people who would have come if they knew they had an opportunity to give public comment and may not actually be here now? Is there a commitment that we'll give them another opportunity to address the council committee or address the council at some future date? I'm not quite sure. It seems a little bit last minute to take this matter up when it wasn't on the agenda. But I'm all for taking public comment.
Okay. Councilmember Gordon, I will respond to that. And I would just say that, there have been folks in the community who've wanted, an opportunity to weigh in on this. And this is just kind of an opportunity. This is the last time in 2015 that we will have that opportunity. And so, to me, I mean, it's a good move in terms of allowing people to, say what they need to say with regards to the events that have been happening up on in the 5th Ward in the 4th Precinct. Any other person who has any comments with regards to that for the discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We will add that as item number 6. And we will, with regards to that, we'll just take public comments. There's no action on that. So it's just really us hearing from, constituents or anybody who wants to speak on the issue. Right, so the first item is the public hearing and the Civil Rights Boards and Commissions appointments, and it's to consider the following appointments for Police Conduct Oversight Commission, approving the City Council and confirming mayoral appointments as follows. And let me just welcome Director Corbell to the microphone and have her introduce this whole thing, because it'd probably be easier than me doing it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Velma Corbell, and I am the director in the Minneapolis Department of Civil Rights. And the department is here today to bring your nominees for both the Civil Rights Commission, the Police Conduct Oversight Commission, and the Police Conduct Review Panel. So there are actually a succession of items, Mr. Chair. But before I would get into the details of that, if you would indulge me for just a minute. The last time we met, we had 2 new employees in the room that I was remiss in not introducing to you, and I'd like to introduce both of those individuals now. We have a new director of the Office of Police Conduct Review. Her name is Imani Jafar. Imani is here. She's been on board now about 5 weeks. So I wanted to make sure to have an opportunity for you to meet her. And we have a new director of complaint investigations in the Civil Rights Department. We have Danielle Shelton-Walchek, and Danielle has been here about 4 weeks. So they're both they're brand new, and they actually have the item. They're going to introduce the nominees to you today. I think Danielle is doing that for the team, but we're bringing this motion before you just to ask you to open the public hearing.
Okay. Who's going to be the first? Yep, please come and do the introduction, and then we'll open up the public hearing after you do the presentation.
Okay. Chair Yang, council members, my name is Danielle Shelton Volchek. I'm the director of the Complaint Investigations Division for the Civil Rights Department. And I'm coming before you today to ask for the approval of slate of candidates for the Minneapolis Commission on Civil Rights. As a brief explanation, in late October, early November, we went through an interview process of some very highly qualified candidates. A part of that process, interview process, included myself, Amani Jafar of the Office of Police Conduct Review. Thank you. I'm still learning. Councilmember Gordon and Nicole Archibald from the mayor's office. Through our extensive conversations, we came up with a slate of candidates, which I believe that you have in front of you. And also we have a few of those candidates present today to address the committee if you're so inclined.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. And
Any questions?
council members, any questions? All right. Do you want to read off the names of the folks? And are there folks here who want to speak?
Sure. I can name. Would you like me to name? I'm sorry, to clarify the name of the people who are here to speak, or just all the candidates?
Right. If you can just list all the candidates,
Oh, sure.
I can open up the public hearing, then we can hear from the candidates if they want to speak or if they don't want to speak.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. So the slate of candidates that we're asking for approval from this committee is Aaron Cornfield, Dion Rushin, Raya Rowe, Marla Kahn-Schwartz, Lonnie Nichols, John Oberruder, Taboda Sayon, Elizabeth Lieb, Ethel Norwood, Taylor Crouch, and Jared Hanks. Today in council's chambers, we have present Taboda Sayon, Taylor Crouch, and Ethel Norwood to speak to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, council members, I will open up the public hearing, and for the speakers, I know there are a lot of names. I don't know if there are a lot of speakers, and so we're not going to have a sign up list. But for the folks who want to speak, if you can just stand up and just make a line behind the microphones there, we will open up the public hearing, and we'll start with testimony from folks. And if you can limit your comments to about 2 minutes, that would be wonderful. Okay.
Thank you. Do you guys want to start?
Go ahead. Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee for this opportunity to speak briefly to you. I was asked to give a few highlights of my interest in serving on the Police Conduct Review panel.
Can I stop you for just a sec? Can you introduce yourself and give us your address before you start with your comments?
My home address,
Yes.
1332 Irving Avenue North, 55411.
Okay. And your name?
Ethel Norwood.
Wonderful. Go ahead.
Thank you. The highlights that I would like to share are, I believe there is an opportunity during 2016 to create an expanded vision for a cultural transformation within the Minneapolis Police Department. Also, to expand and implement training for deliberate response to carry out Minneapolis Police Department mission, their vision, their values, and their goals. And my final highlight will be that the Minneapolis Police Department leadership team commit to multiple resources to model perseverance through restoration for Minneapolis Police Department and the community in which we serve. Accountability and stability shown to the Minneapolis community by the Minneapolis Police Department leadership team in their daily lives. This would allow truthfulness to become the expected norm within the Minneapolis Police Department. Again, I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you, and I look forward to serving.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I would also like to thank each of you, Public Safety and the Emergency Management and Civil Rights Department, for allowing me the opportunity to come in and share my interest in why I would like to be a part of the Police Conduct Committee. My name is Taboda Sian, and I'm a 40-plus year resident of Minneapolis. I currently live in North Minneapolis in the 5th Ward for well over 15 years. I currently serve in the capacity of an Economic Development Manager for Minneapolis Urban League, and I am constantly in communication with members of the community who have been affected by various injustice and mistreatment, not only by the police, but perhaps employers and various other entities. And so this opportunity is very dear to me because I'm in the interest of doing some fact finding and being able to be of support and learning more about the process and how I can go about educating the community and those in which I work with. More importantly, I would like to see that police brutality be reduced. I would like to see that this systematic issue go away. I would like to see that there's more improvements in the requirements of and accountability of the police. Sharing the reports of the misconduct that happens within our community. I also would like to see that there's more balance in the residency of the police in our community. I believe that it's important that if they're going to be policing in our community, that they are actually residents of our community, so they actually are going to work, but not only worshiping and shopping within our community, so they're really active in our community rather than going out to their separate residence outside of the area in which they serve. I think it's really important. I also have an interest in supporting community and being that we're equally treated in the process, and that the reporting of misconduct is fair for not only minorities, but also for those who are, of low income. I feel that a lot of the reporting is not being done in a proper manner, and I think that more people need to be alerted as to why these issues are being taking place. And then also I'd like to improve policy and how things are, I already said that. Sorry, kind of at a loss right now. But I essentially believe that as a concerned citizen, that I think that I would be a good asset to the team, and I think that I would be able to really represent the community well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Taylor Edward Crouch. I live on 1125 West 28th Street in Minneapolis. While walking along Plymouth Avenue North, children came out of their homes to listen and watch their neighbors speaking out against police brutality. They demanded videos, accountability, action, and responsibility. They shouted, "The people united will never be defeated." However, the people within Minneapolis are not united. They are segregated by race, ethnicity, age, and economic status. Our society does not thrive in these environments because we define ourselves through our differences. You versus me, us versus them. This is not effective and it is polarizing. As a graduate student of public policy at the Humphrey School, I have discerned a deep responsibility to address our broken society. My international academics have taught me that before we begin critiquing our neighbors abroad, we must begin to address the injustices in our backyard. I believe our society should both hold all citizens to the same standard, that we act in ways that benefit the entire community, not just our personal interests. A successful review process requires people on both sides of the issues to ensure policies which are fair, prompt, and effective. This is a challenging balance to maintain, requiring collaboration and compromise. I promise to uphold the mission and vision of creating a positive culture between citizens, which enhances mutual respect and compassion for every member of our community. The citizens on the streets shouted, "Show me what democracy looks like." And we replied, "This is what democracy looks like." Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there any other speaker with regards to the Minneapolis Commission on Civil Rights? Going once, going twice. All right, we will close the public hearing with regards to the Minneapolis Commission on Civil Rights. Council members, that's item number one of 1.3, let's just call it. Okay, so we will close that, and council members, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the whole thing before we just discuss each one of them or all of them together. So who's next in terms of, oh, okay. All right, come on up.
Good afternoon, Chairman Yang, City Council members. My name is Imani Jafar. I'm the Director of the Office of Police Conduct Review, and I'm going to be giving you the overview of the candidates for both the Police Conduct Oversight Commission as well as the Police Conduct Review Panel. I'll start with the Police Conduct Review Panel. There are 4 people seeking appointment: Dennis Wagner, Sarah McCann, who's present, Philip Trebetowski, and Kenneth Rance, who is also present. For the Police Conduct Oversight Commission, Afshin Feruzan, who is present, Jennifer Singleton, who is present, Andrew Buss, who is present, Laura Westfall, who is present, and Andrea Brown, who is also present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so since I've done it like this, we're going to do it in a specific way. We're going to open up the public hearing for the Police Conduct Review Panel. And we're going to stick with that, and then we will open and close that, and then we will move to the last one, which is the Police Conduct Oversight Commission. So with regards to the Police Conduct Review Panel, we will open up the public hearing. If the speakers or the folks who are here to speak on that want to get up to the microphone, please do so, and then just state your name and your address, and let's go from there. Keep your comments to about 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah McCann, and I want to thank you for reviewing my application for reappointment to the Police Conduct Review Panel. I appreciate the commitment the city has made to this effort, especially now when increasing community trust and police accountability is crucial. So I've been asked to share a few words about my experiences on the panel thus far. My time on the panel has been productive, and I sincerely hope to continue to serve the city of Minneapolis as an appointed member. I am passionate about equity and accountability in policing and believe deeply in the process that has been established here. As a former journalist, I am consistently impressed by the collection of facts, testimony, and data on each case that is made available to us. As an educator in a low-income school, I am very appreciative of the concern given to those who file complaints, for they are disproportionately low-income people. I've been impressed by the officers who make efforts to clarify standard policies and procedures, and who are also deeply committed to ensuring that the police remain accountable to the public. They hold their own to extremely high standards and have encouraged me to ask difficult questions and seek that all involved in these cases are treated fairly. The training provided by the Department of Civil Rights has been instrumental in my knowledge development and success as a civilian panelist. Because of the department, I am empowered to make decisions based on facts and knowledge of police policy and practice. The department has gone to great lengths to encourage us to express community concerns and to deepen our understanding of use of force, emerging technologies, and ways to make police practices and conduct review panel practices more transparent to the public. I'm deeply committed to the process, and if reappointed, will continue to serve to the best of my ability with the well-being of Minneapolis citizens always as my goal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank council for letting me stand before you to introduce myself. My name is Ken Rance. I'm a resident of North Minneapolis, near North Neighborhood. My address is 1400 Hall Curve. I was born and raised in Minneapolis. I've been married to my wife, Cheryl Rance, for 15 years. I have two children, Kennedy and KJ, that attend Elizabeth Hall Elementary School. And I also work in wealth management for TI Craft. I relocated to the Twin Cities 3 years ago from Charlotte, North Carolina, where I served on the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Community Relations Committee. And they were responsible for fair housing practices, access to public accommodations, dispute resolution, and the improvement of race relations and communications of diverse communities in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. Through my involvement with the police subcommittee, I was appointed to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Citizens Review Board. And one of the requirements for that appointment was to attend the Citizens Academy for the Police Department. That 10-week program consisted of use of force protocol, police ride-alongs, proper traffic stop procedures, and police cadet admissions and qualifications. As a Citizens Review Board, I also reviewed appeals of citizens who filed complaints with dispositions opposed by the chief of police relating to allegations of officer misconduct, use of force, and arrest, search, and seizure procedures. The reason why I want to serve this capacity is I've served in this capacity before in the city of Charlotte, but also one of the reasons why I moved back to the Twin Cities was to be closer to my mother, who lives in North Minneapolis as well. I'm about a mile from my mother, and the roadway to get to my mother's house is Plymouth Avenue. And on my way to my mother's house, I have to go around a detour. And as I look at the protest that's taking place at the 4th District Police Station, what that says to me is that we have a community of citizens that do not trust and have credibility. And so one of the things that I'd like to do through serving on this panel is to be able to bridge the gap between community and police relationships. And so that we can have a greater Minneapolis for all of their citizens.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone else here who wants to speak on the police conduct review panel? Going once, going twice. All right, we will close the public hearing on the police conduct review panel, and we will open up the public hearing with regards to the Police Conduct Oversight Commission. Anyone here who wishes to speak on that, if you can come up and line up, that would be great.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Council members. My name is Afshin Farouzan, Ward 7. Minneapolis police officers.
Could you give your address just for the record?
2002 DuPont Avenue South, Minneapolis, Minnesota 55405. Minneapolis police officers are not separate from the citizens of Minneapolis. They draw the authority from the will and consent of the people. The police are the instrument of the people to achieve and maintain order. The efforts are founded on the principles of public service and ultimate responsibility to the public. Those words are directly from the preface of the Minneapolis Police Department's Policy and Procedures Manual. What I'd like to note in there is that the police are an instrument of the people, but they can't do their job without the consent and feedback from the people. What I seek to do is to reestablish the trust that, as we've seen, has been broken with a large segment of our community. When that trust isn't there, the police cannot do their jobs. And we're going to reestablish that trust through outreach and through a feedback loop both ways. One is so that the community understands that they are being heard. They understand that their ideas, their needs are being heard, and procedures are being considered and implemented to address those concerns. The second part of that feedback is letting the community know what has been done, what steps have been taken, so they know that progress is being made and efforts are being made to meet their goals. And finally, the third facet is facilitating a dialogue so that our police officers know and understand the communities that they work for. So they know the histories of the communities, the histories of the people, and so that they're comfortable working with the communities that they're policing. Because the communities that they're policing, for many people, the police officers are the manifestation of the government, and the government is of the people. So we have to make sure that the policies that our officers can follow reflect the needs of the people. And again, I seek to do that through outreach, establishing trust, and having transparency throughout the entire process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Andrea Brown. I'm the current chair of the Police Conduct Oversight Commission. I'm seeking a reappointment for both the chair and the Police Conduct Oversight Commission. I'm from Ward 2. My address is 1201 Brook Avenue Southeast, 55414. I'm seeking reappointment for 3 specific reasons. First, we have done amazing work the past 2 years that we have been in service. As of our meeting December 8th, next Tuesday, we will have 5 published studies that have come out of the Police Conduct Oversight Commission that have not only had policy recommendations, but have actually had acceptance from the MPD and implementation. We've had a cultural awareness study, a coaching study, our investigatory stop study, the body cam study, and the doesn't fit any crime study. These are significant not only in time, since we are relatively new and have only been in service for approximately 2 years, but it's significant in the progress. The initial 2 studies came out of what we as commissioners saw from the reports and the complaints that were coming in. The following 3, the investigatory stop, the body cams and the doesn't fit any crime, come from outside organizations. Chief Harteau and the mayor came to the Police Conduct Oversight Commission asking for the PCOC to look into the body cams, to do that audit, to do that research, and to hear from the public. I think that speaks volumes to what the PCOC does and what it represents. And then the ACLU came to the Police Conduct Oversight Commission asking for us to look into a study that they didn't have the resources for. I think that those 2 are huge measures of what the Police Conduct Oversight Commission does in the community, as well as what it means to the community. We are a vital part of Minneapolis.
Can you wrap it up, Ms. Brown? Can you wrap it up?
Okay, thank you. And as you can see from as much as I've spoke about the work that PCOC does, I am wholeheartedly 100% into the work that we do, and I just ask for reappointment in your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, community members. My name is Andrew Buss, and I'm also seeking reappointment for the Police Conduct Oversight Commission. I'm from Ward 11, 4624 Pleasant Avenue South, Minneapolis. Since my return to Minneapolis following a 20-year military career, I've continually sought opportunities to become more engaged in the inner workings of my community. Towards this goal, I was appointed in 2012 as a commissioner for the then newly formed PCOC, and subsequently as chair of the Policy and Procedure Committee. Following the recent Justice Department audit of the MPD, I also had the opportunity to participate as a member of the department's EIS subcommittee. In the past 2 years, the PCOC has made a great deal of progress in researching and addressing issues with regard to the MPD and the interactions with the community. Through research and study projects on relevant topics such as investigatory stops, cultural awareness training, and the use of body cameras, to name just a few, as well as community engagement and outreach events, community feedback and listening sessions, PCOC has provided information and recommendations to the MPD in order to bridge the gaps between law enforcement and the communities they serve. I've sought additional learning opportunities by attending the Minneapolis Police Citizens Academy and the Hennepin County Citizens Academy. I also trained as a community emergency response team member and joined the Tangletown Neighborhood Association as a board member. These volunteer activities, along with my current employment with the state of Minnesota, providing training for court-appointed advocates for abused and neglected children in juvenile and family court, give me an opportunity to be more engaged and have more direct impact on a state, city, and neighborhood level. My background and experiences, combined with my deep respect for the often difficult but necessary work of the police department, have allowed me to interact with the department as well as the public to promote improved communication, mutual understanding, and ensure fair and lawful services. Whether it's a complex issue such as the implementation of body cameras or de-escalating situations involving hostile or emotionally disturbed individuals, or as simple as an informal coaching session between an officer and a supervisor on how an interaction could have been handled differently, there are always things that can be improved.
Mr. Buss, can you wrap it up?
Yes, sir. It's been a privilege to have served for the past 2 years with the present and current, the previous and current commissioners. Over this time, PCOC has gained momentum, and we've increasingly been in a position to assist both the community and the department. I look forward to the opportunity to continue to learn from and work with numerous individuals, organizations, and agencies, making progress towards safer neighborhoods and mutual trust. Having spent most of the past 3 decades in training roles, I'm a firm believer that my training philosophy has an even greater application outside of the classroom, and that is, what can I do to help you succeed? Thank you for your time and your consideration of my reappointment to the PCOC.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Yang and council members, and thank you for allowing us to speak today. My name is Jenny Singleton, and I currently serve as the Vice Chair of the Police Conduct Oversight Commission, as well as the Chair of the Outreach Committee. I live in Ward 8, and my address is 3805 11th Avenue South. I'll just echo what everybody else has said so far, and that I'm very proud of the work the Commission has been able to do. We've put out, I think, 2 very impactful studies, in particular, the body camera study and the stop and frisk or investigatory stop study. And I've been really grateful to be able to be a part of that and to help out with the research and gathering community input, particularly for the body camera study. Kind of ancillary to my work with the commission, I've also been serving on one of the Office of Justice program committees along with Councilmember Palmisano. And then I've also tried to be out at community events to try to meet folks more, especially through the outreach committee. I would really like to continue serving on the commission for the next 2 years. I think we have a lot of good studies in the works, including one on how the police department can better serve folks who are experiencing a mental health crisis, to make sure that our officers have the resources and the skill set and the knowledge to best respond to those calls. And particularly during the present times, since Ferguson, police community relations and race relations more broadly have been the subject of the national conversation. And in the last couple of weeks, that's really been brought home to Minneapolis. So I think that the commission has an important role to play in that by increasing transparency. And I think that with the increased transparency that we can provide through these studies and the quarterly reports that we put out with the OPCR, we can help to build community trust by giving the community access to a lot of the information that's out there. I also hope that with the outreach community,
can you wrap it up?
Yeah, we can continue to try to bridge those gaps that are definitely out there. So with that, thank you for allowing me to speak, and I offer my consideration.
Hello, Chair Yang, council members. My name is Laura Westfall. I live in Ward 13, 4316 Colfax Avenue South. I take this job as a really heavy responsibility and try to give it always my best effort, and I hope that I've done that. I would like to continue to do that. I've been proud of the work. These are really admirable people who I work with, and very dedicated to making the city a better, kinder place to live. I was really proud of the work that we did this year, but I would like to say in the years to come, I have this growing list of topics to work on. And we have the chance right now to work on the national initiative to build trust and community trust and justice. I think that's really vital that we work on that. And that's a 3-year program. I think we have a really good chance of making things better with that. And yesterday, I actually was in Duluth meeting with the deputy chiefs in the Duluth Police Department to talk about the program that they're implementing when they handle mental health and disturbed persons calls. So there's a lot to do. And I believe culture eats policy for lunch. And we're all about the policy, but I'm hoping that that policy changes the culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bicking.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself and your address, please.
Yes, my name is Dave Bicking, 4200 Cedar Avenue South in Minneapolis. I'm not an applicant, I'll make that clear, but I do have some comments about the appointments. First, a quick procedural note. The police chief, I don't believe, should be involved in choosing the candidates appointed to the OPCR. The chief already has full authority to appoint the sworn members of the panel. Now, I appreciate the people who are willing to volunteer for public service, and many of these people are incumbents, and I appreciate the service they have already performed. Unfortunately, these good people are being appointed to positions which, in the case of the PCOC, are mostly powerless and ineffective. In the case of the PCRC appointees, they are being appointed to positions which are utterly useless, despite any good intentions or good qualifications. In the case of the PCOC, I urge the appointees to use the power they do have and to fulfill their function of oversight. I believe that includes oversight of the complaint handling functions of the OPCR. If the PCOC will not do that, who will? So far, the City Council has not. In the case of the PCRC appointees, I urge them to have more contact with the public. But more importantly, it would be important for them to acknowledge the truth about that organization. For one, what is the purpose of the civilian panelists if every decision of the panel so far has been unanimous, along with the sworn officers? We have been handing out statistics about the discipline coming out of the OPCR for quite some time. One officer disciplined from over now 1,000 civilian complaints filed in 3 years. But this morning, we just found out that it is actually worse than that. Even that one discipline that we highlight is the result of a complaint initiated by the supervisor, and only later did the victim file a complaint on the same incident, so that we can truthfully say that in 3 years, not one single Minneapolis police officer has ever been disciplined as the result of an OPCR investigation initiated by a civilian complaint to that agency. Good luck to you all. You have a lot of work in front of you to bring any accountability to our police officers. But until these City Council reforms or abolishes the OPCR, we must rely on your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak with regards to the Police Conduct Oversight Commission? Going once? Going twice? I will close that public hearing. All right, so we've had 3 public hearings on Police Conduct Oversight Commission, Police Conduct Review Panel, and the Minneapolis Commission on Civil Rights. Council members, any comments, anything you want to add to this before we take a vote? Councilmember Gordon?
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to note that I was the council representative on the review panels and the selection process. I really appreciated the work of civil rights staff and organizing the applications and that process that we went through. I thought it was very helpful. And I just wanted to clarify that this round, I believe the police chief and the police department were not involved in making recommendations on any of the applications. It was done only with the civil rights department, city council involvement, and the mayor's office involvement. Just to clarify that, I think that might be different than last round, but I wasn't a representative on the review process. And I think that worked out well. I'm actually very impressed with the applicants that we got, because there were some that it was a difficult decision to make, and I think I'll stand by the group's recommendation, I guess, as a good group participant in these things would do, and I'm happy to move this forward.
Okay. Councilmember Gordon, I'm going to hold that off with comment from Councilmember Palmisano before I move forward with the motion, okay? Councilmember Palmisano?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Clearly, we get a lot of applicants, and all these board and commission appointments remind me of just how many of our local residents volunteer to be part of solutions. I'm very grateful. I think I can say that on behalf of all of us. I would just wanted to say thank you. It's clear that there are many strengths here with the people that have volunteered to come forward here. Someone mentioned, Ms. Westphal mentioned that this is a job. I see it more as a vocation and an unpaid one at that, one that isn't often valued, but is desperately needed. As we just heard, often the praise that we just heard here at the end is all that you might get in return. From being there to see these commissions consider body camera protocol and so thoughtfully, for meeting local appointments in my neighborhood and being part of the OJP effort, I just want to say how much I appreciate your dedication to this steadfast direction on improvements. So just wanted to extend that thanks from here to you. Thanks.
So Councilmember Gordon, I apologize, but just wanted to, do the preliminary comments before we take your motion. And so there's a motion before us to approve the recommended appointments here for the Police Conduct Oversight Commission, the Police Conduct Review Panel, and the Minneapolis Commission on Civil Rights. Any discussion, council members? I just want to make one clarifying point, and this is not to pick on anybody, although I'm going to name the name. So Andrea Brown had mentioned that she's seeking appointments for or reappointments and appointment to the chair, and I don't believe that we have any authority to pick the chairs in that regard. So it's going to be up to the Police Conduct Oversight Commission members to pick who the next chair or vice chair is going to be. And so just a matter of clarification. But outside of that, again, I do want to echo Councilmember Gordon and Palmisano's points, which are that, sometimes, these positions are very thankless. I mean, they're unpaid, but, we want to just extend our gratitude to all the folks who are willing to serve. So thank you. Councilmember Gordon.
Not to contradict my colleagues here, but I do believe that if you're on a review panel, you do get $50 each time you interview.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Even
So,
better. Okay.
and I think it's, what we often talk about the kind of compensation and what groups and commissions get and so there are some that do.
Okay, great. Right. Seeing no more discussion, council members, all those in approval of Councilmember Gordon's motion to move for recommendation of these appointments, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Right. The next three items are consent items. Item number 2 is detox van services contract with Hennepin County. The third item is bomb disposal unit grant award. Fourth item is bomb security services contract amendment with Minnesota Timberwolves. Council members, any discussion on that? All right, hearing none, I will move for approval of all three items. All those in approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries on that. The fifth item is a discussion item with regards to Contract Compliance Division 2015 third quarter report, and hopefully this will go pretty quickly. All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, President Johnson, and committee members. My name is Kalupe Wilson, and I'm the Compliance and Oversight Manager with the Minneapolis Department of Civil Rights. I will be presenting the Contract Compliance Division third quarter report of 2015. The Contract Compliance Division monitors all city procurement to ensure equity and inclusion of women, minorities, and low-income workers and businesses. In the third quarter, 19 construction and development projects with minority and women business goals were closed by the division. The total contract value was $26.3 million, of which $1.79 million, or 7%, went to minority businesses, and $1.42 million, or 5%, went to women businesses. This is a total of $3.2 million going to the disadvantaged business community in the third quarter. This slide displays a comparison of minority and women business inclusion for 2013, 2014, and the first 3 quarters of 2015. A full comparison for 3 years will be presented after the fourth quarter. Moving on to workforce inclusion. In the third quarter, 23 construction and development projects with female and minority construction workforce goals were closed by the division. Of those 23 projects, 4% of hours were from female workers and 23% of hours were from minority workers. This slide displays a comparison of female and minority workforce inclusion for 2013, 2014, and the first 3 quarters of 2015. There has been a steady increase in female and minority participation. A full comparison for 3 years will be presented after the fourth quarter. This concludes my presentation. I am happy to stand for questions.
Council President Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a curiosity, and I apologize, I don't have my computer, but does your report have the list of the projects that you're monitoring?
It has a list of the closed projects in the appendix, but we do have in the office a list of all the projects we're currently monitoring.
Would you mind sending that to me?
Yes, sure,
All right.
Councilmember.
Thank you.
If you can just send it to the committee members. Okay.
Will do.
Okay. Council members, any other questions? Right, seeing none, I will move to receive and file this third quarter report. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. All right, we will move to the final item, and the final item is just an opportunity to receive public comments from the general public with regards to the fourth precinct occupation, if I may call it that. And, we're going to limit the comments at 3 minutes a person, and we're going to run until 3:20 or just 1 hour, and then we're going to cut it off. After that, I will let council members know with regards to this, we are not going to take any sort of action. We are just going to hear from the community. And after that, we will just adjourn. My understanding, and maybe the clerks can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but, with regards to an item like that, where we're not going to take any sort of action whatsoever, that, if council members have to go, they can go. We don't need a quorum for taking public comments. And that's correct. Okay. So there we go. And, I'm going to start first with, Clinton Collins, who had contacted me and, had some time issues. And so, Clinton, we'll start with you. If you can come up to the podium and state your name and your address, and then just go from there. 3 minutes. And whoever wants to be next right after him, please just stand right in back of him and go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Clinton Collins, Jr., and I live in the ward of Honorable Blong Yang at 1727 Morgan Avenue North, and I'm also the board chair of the Minneapolis Urban League, but I'm speaking more in my capacity as a resident of the neighborhood where the precinct is located. I support the overarching goals of the Black Lives Matter movement. And I want to make it clear that there is not, to use the word of Alfred Babington Johnson, any big schism in the North Side community. But the tactics are not effective now. I've had to explain to my 12-year-old son why there's profane graffiti on the building and some of the other comments that I've heard from people at this site. I've been delayed getting to work because I've worked downtown going around this. Now, I come from a family of civil rights activists. My father was the first black man to run for public office in Mississippi since Reconstruction. I believe in civil disobedience when it's appropriate and when it's handled correctly. This, again, is hurting the people that it professes to help. And I can tell you, speaking as a member of the community, that there would be widespread, strong support if the city were to choose to take more aggressive action in dealing with what I believe, not only as a resident, but as a lawyer, to be an unlawful appropriation of public property. I really believe that what has happened in the last several days has undermined much of the goodwill that this group had created initially, and that its continued presence is not only disruptive, it's counterproductive. So I just wanted to speak again as a member of this community that anything the city chooses to do in order to restore the precinct and Plymouth Avenue to the community would be strongly supported and would be welcome.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Patricia Anderson, and I too am a resident of North Minneapolis. My address is 1311 Morgan Avenue North, Minneapolis 55411, which means that I am directly across the street from all the chaos. I too support Black Lives Matter. I happen to believe that all lives matter. I know why they're saying Black Lives Matter, because of disparities and because of some of the other things that I won't get into now, but we all really know about. One of the things that hurts me is that there are vigilantes, armed vigilantes running through the alley. They have smashed my daughter's car window. They have taken bricks from my retaining wall. I have to tell my 3-year-old grandson that there's a party outside. That's the reason why there's always noise and chaos, bottles being left on the ground, people smoking weed. It's just chaotic. And again, in the beginning, I was out there too. I'm all for justice, but I'm on the receiving end of no peace right now. So I ask you and whomever else in the room that can help me, I want them to leave right now. I think there should be another plan to move forward, to bring justice. But right now, I don't have any peace. And I think that evil has nothing to do with a man or a woman's color. The color of this that's happening right now is dark. So it's a dark heart. There's dark hearts roaming around in my neighborhood, creating chaos. And again, evil has no color, whether it's a badge or a janitor or someone that gives you bad service at a restaurant. So please help us to restore justice back in our community where I live. I've lived there for 6 years and have never had a problem. And over the last couple of weeks, it's chaos. My boss has sent me home 3 times because I don't sleep, because I'm falling asleep at my desk. And I just want my life back. I want to be able to tell my job, my son-in-law was getting out of the car one night and these vigilantes actually pulled their guns on him coming into a home that he lives. And they wanted to know who he was. So it's out of control. Not to mention a home in front of me, they broke in, stole the copper out of the home. And in the process of that, there were gas wires that were cut. And my neighbor was walking her dog and smelled the gas. The gas company had to come out. Fortunately, they left the windows and doors open. But what we were told was it could have blown up part of the neighborhood. So it is definitely out of control. And in closing, I do support Black Lives Matters, but I don't support the chaos that's coming along with it in my community, in my home. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Martha Schotlane. I am going on my 13th year living in North Minneapolis. I live approximately, if I count the blocks, about a mile from the 4th precinct. I have a group of friends on Facebook and in the neighborhood, and we have been talking back and forth about this, what's happening at the 4th precinct since it started. And I agree with both of the previous speakers that in the beginning, with everything with Black Lives Matters, we were all supportive. But as this has all been going on, I no longer support it. I cannot. And I am speaking on behalf of myself and my group of friends. And so I'm going to just read off some of the things that they have asked me to say for them. They are being kept awake by helicopters and protesters shouting through megaphones so that it sounds like people arguing under their windows late into the night. The bus, a few of them ride buses, and one in particular, the bus being on detour and consequently on an erratic schedule, so that in addition to having to leave the house earlier and get home later, she has to spend more time waiting at bus stops in the cold. Having to find rides to conduct business with people in other parts of the city rather than live with the guilt of letting them come to my house and getting caught in the middle of the violence that surrounds the encampment, aspects that are intolerable. Strategizing with her loved ones every night about which is the least risky way to get to her house from downtown, rocks being thrown at cars on Olson Memorial, shots fired almost every night in the blocks north and south of Plymouth, the potential for getting caught up in a riot if this thing suddenly erupts into mob violence as it has in other cities. Wondering if police or ambulance will be able to respond when people need them because of the protesters blocking their access or deluging 911 with false reports in order to prevent people in the neighborhood from getting help. This particular friend has asthma, so it's triggered by the heavy blanket of wood smoke covering the area. Watching the people we all, even the protesters, depend on in an emergency stoically endure the harassment, threats of violence, and taunts of the protesters, and knowing that every council member, I'm not going to read that part. I'm going to leave that part out. We are fed up. We want our north side back. I want to be able to ride down Plymouth Avenue to get to where I want to go without having to worry about the road being barricaded, without having to be worried about someone, if I'm going down that road and stopped at a stoplight, being worried about someone coming up to my car and yelling at me about whatever they're going to yell at me about. I'm scared, and I live a mile away from the precinct. And I'm scared. I have friends who live 3 blocks from the precinct. They're scared. I have friends who live a half a mile from the precinct towards west on Plymouth Avenue. Their sleep is being disrupted. They're scared. Please end this. Please end this for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Picking, 4200 Cedar Avenue South. I didn't really come prepared to speak about this issue, but just about the appointments. But I do feel that it's necessary to speak up. The problem is the lack of action, both in the last 2.5 weeks and in the last many years, by the City Council regarding our police force. It's now been 2.5 weeks since the shooting of Jamar Clark. There is pain and anger in the community and an ongoing occupation in front of the 4th Precinct. There was additional misconduct by the police after the shooting, including intimidation of witnesses. Minneapolis is in the international news. There has been a lack of information, including information that has been withheld in violation of the Minnesota Data Practices Act, and believe me, we've tried to get that through the regular channels. But this committee has taken no action in response, and the City Council has taken no action in response so far. I think it would be good for you to set an actual public hearing where people have a chance to prepare and to come with their comments. It's unfortunate that your next meeting is not for another 5 weeks. That action really should have been taken at your previous meeting so that there could have been the proper public hearing. But it looks terrible. This is the first actual action by the City Council about this. It may seem odd for me to speak about setting an actual public hearing since I was at your last City Council meeting, and I don't generally like to go against the generally accepted rules. But this is a very urgent and critical situation. As I say, we're in the international news. This is a crisis here, and people before me have expressed how it is a crisis. But the City Council now has not done anything. I would urge this committee before you adjourn to set a public hearing for your next meeting, or better yet, to call for an adjourned meeting of this committee where you can give the required 3 days notice and have some hearings or some action or discussion at a meeting held as early as the beginning of next week. Those are things that you could do. In the meantime, I hope the city will take action to resolve some of the problems, release some of the information they are required to release. I know they aren't required to release it all, but until the city takes some action that resolves some of this complaints, this crisis is going to continue with whatever effects it has on people. I worry about the protesters seem to be being blamed for many of the things. The helicopters. There is not a single protester in a helicopter in the city bothering the residents. That is not their fault. The safety has been pointed out that they're not safe there because of the white supremacists who came and shot 5 people. This is not the fault of the protesters, and it's not something that they should be required to stand down because of the actions of other people. So I believe it is important for them to continue that occupation. I support them in that until there is actual justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. Bob Kroll, President of Police Officers Federation, Minneapolis. You just heard a small sampling here that came here to tell it to your face of what I take off my voicemail and my email every morning. The real citizens that are being deprived of public safety in the 4th Precinct are crying to me for help because they've lost faith in you. They've lost faith in the mayor. They've lost faith in the police administration. I want to go back to do my regular job. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't even have time to return the calls and emails of the folks that live up there that want their lives back. You had people that took time out of their day to tell you how they feel. You should listen to my voicemail. For every one nut job that calls in and threatens my life for the job that I'm doing, I get 30 phone calls of the people voicing what you've just heard right here. You're on a fast track becoming a national laughing stock in politics. You need to pull your mayor back. You need to quit mismanaging the police department and let people with experience on how to remove unlawful protesters from the area in. Much less you don't need to be there encouraging them. Everybody's watching this. It's a time for yourselves to stand up. Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members, council members. My name is Corbin Cannell. I live in the 5th Ward on the 700 block of Queen Avenue. I'd like to ask the clerk, if possible, to distribute a document that I printed for this purpose. I appreciate the opportunity to come here today to speak to you about what's going on in the 4th Precinct. I can't really add anything more to what Mr. Collins or Ms. Anderson or police officer, whom I don't know, or the other folks who've spoken, except with the exception of Mr. Bickman. He lives in a world of abstraction, and I'm afraid that some of the council members, with the notable exception of my council person, Mr. Yang, and Ms. Johnson, do not have an understanding whatsoever of what it means to live on the north side of Minneapolis. Take a look at the document in your hands. The document in your hands is painted in blood. It is a record of the ShotSpotter reports that have arisen over the last 5 months in this city. At this point in time, the mayor and the chief of police have tied the hands of the 4th Precinct police officers who do everything possible to stop that. And that is the most important issue that is facing our part of town. Untie the hands of the police. If the evidence after a proper investigation points to misconduct on the part of 2 officers or 1 officer, let the rule of law take its course and prosecute them. Give them a fair hearing, but prosecute them if the evidence warrants it. This city is a laughingstock because the mayor has no backbone. The chief of police has no backbone. You have turned over a public building to a group of anarchists and individuals who are using it for their own political gain. You have met the demands, many of which were reasonable, and the final of which, related to the release of the video, will occur, I am positive, in time. But now they are changing their tune. Now this is about a grieving place. This is about community building and community healing. I counter that adamantly. It is about breaking our community apart. It is about anarchy. This room is where community building takes place. This room is where issues that are large, like inequality amongst the races and the
Could you
the
wrap up,
power
sir?
discrepancy that exists in this city. This is where this takes place. Release the public building. Thank you again for the opportunity. And do something about the shots that are fired!
This is my first time up here, so I don't know what to say, but I'm coming to find out where I go pick up my check at. Because when the police came to my house and said put some water on it and don't want to call the fire department, and then guys come down 6 months later and actually burn me out my home and my wife, I just want to know where to go get the check at. Because right now, only thing gonna make me happy and my family happy is to get a check so we can move on with our lives. Because the Minneapolis police hasn't been doing their job, and I'm a prime witness of how they haven't been doing their job. The night of a murder, I was actually locked up at the psych ward at North Memorial Hospital, fleeing for my life because of the scenario of me running away from the police. Now, somebody got killed when I was locked up, you know, but I was in the psych ward and I was crazy, deranged, and out of my mind. I wasn't doing no drugs. I'm gonna tell y'all, okay? I'm homeless in the streets because I called the police department to come when a bunch of informants tried to burn me and my wife's house down. They laughed in our face and said, ha, 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 pour some water on it, and then walked away. Now, me and my wife is in the streets homeless. Now, somebody get killed, I ain't worried about who get killed because I've been in the streets scared for my life and my wife's life. And the police been harassing us in the streets. And now I need to get a check because the only thing gonna make me and my wife happy is a check. So I've been in city management. I've been at city hall, harassment. I'm walking around these streets around here. I'm the African that got away. I want some money right now. That's the only way me and my family gonna move forward. Okay? CPS that took away my kids. They say I'm molesting my kids. Look, your city has been doing all this stuff to me right now. You'll smear my blood through your God's city, so that means you owe me. You owe me. That's all I gotta say. I'm not deranged. I'm not crazy. I just came from my therapist today. They said go to City Hall and let them know what these guys been doing. I'm coming to y'all right now and telling y'all what these guys been going. I'm not saying all these police out here is cricket, but some of them ain't doing their job right. Okay, they ride around and say serve and protect on the police car. Well, I'm a prime example. They ain't serving and protecting. So I need something to be done. Right now, me and my wife are still homeless in the streets, and we don't got our kids right now. We want some money from the city. I'm trying to go about it the right way. If Black Lives get any money, Cyrus and Nikki better get some too.
Sir, can we get your name?
My name is Cyrus Nimini.
Thank you.
My name is Janet Nye, and I live at 2112 Portland Avenue South in Minneapolis. And I feel really bad for the people whose lives are being disrupted up in North Minneapolis. But I don't want to blame this on the protesters. From the get-go, the situation with Jamar Clark has been totally mishandled by the Minneapolis police. All sorts of rumors are flying around. And some of it's on the Minneapolis issues list too, where people will say, well, he was kind of an unsavory character, as if he deserved his horrible death at the hands of the police. The police are not to act as judge, jury, and executioner. That is completely against the law. And if we don't do something about giving police officers some kind of consequences, and frankly, some of them belong in jail, never mind losing their jobs, this will continue. And, you know, as there's a saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I hear, you know, people on the PCOC, people on the OPCR, you know, they're good people. They're trying to do something, but studies are not going to do it. We need real consequences. And frankly, I don't have any sympathy for all the infighting among the people in charge of the city. You haven't listened to the people, and you're going to pay the price. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to make public comments? All right, seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Council members, anybody want to say anything before we adjourn this meeting? All right. Council President Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As someone who represents part of North Minneapolis, I really do want to go on the record and say that this has been a huge inconvenience for our community. I'm particularly troubled by the smoke in the air. I drove down Plymouth Avenue the other day and did my routing around the barricades, and I got to Upton Avenue North before the haze of smoke didn't come through my car windows. If you drive down or walk down Plymouth Avenue, you will notice that there are a number of townhomes on Plymouth Avenue. Townhomes that I do believe in our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we just allocated some dollars for rehab of. They have balconies, and in those balconies are kids' bikes. The kids who are now subject to all this smoke coming in their windows, in a zip code that has the highest asthma rates in the state of Minnesota. Senior citizen high-rise with 80 people in it. Senior citizens, probably 50% of them have chronic pulmonary issues. It's ridiculous. So I appreciate people taking their time out to come down and talk to us about this. There is a real challenge for the people that are living with this every single day. People can't park in front of their homes because the protesters and people that are joining them park in the neighborhoods. Real people's lives are being disrupted. And I also want to call our attention, and I think all of us got today, our third quarter response times for October, police response times. And if you'll notice, in the 4th precinct, we have gone from priority 1 call as of, this is the end of October. Priority 1 call it has an increase in time of 3 minutes. 3 minutes when somebody's life is in danger. Priority 2, we've gone up 4 minutes. Priority 3, 6 minutes. And I will just tell people, I know our finance department is keeping track of what is this costing us as a city. And it is going to be a phenomenally high number. So people are not safe because the police take too long to get there. It's costing us money, and real people's lives are being disrupted. So I appreciate everybody that came down, real people telling us what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Pausano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree. Obviously, this is not a public hearing. I do welcome that. This public comment period was reacting to information immediately before us here today. Clearly, the information that's in front of us and that was shared mostly in public comment shares a different perspective than one that we've been hearing loud and clear as we all are listening to this event these past 2 weeks. Lieutenant Kroll, thank you for offering your perspective. I appreciate just a small bit of the constituent context that you have been hearing since Sunday, November 15th, the morning of which Jamar Clark died in an altercation with police with an ongoing investigation. So I just wanted to say I appreciate, thank you all for having the courage to add your voice to this. I hope we've created some space for that today. I'm welcome to continue that as others might wish to do. Thank you.
Council members, any other comments? Councilmember Gordon.
Well, I appreciate that we had a little time for public comment, but I'm a little bit disturbed and confused about the process and the motivation. And it doesn't seem like this is a very good environment or a very good way for us to really dig into the deeper problems that exist. And I think that we've been hearing clearly from many sources about the incredible inconvenience the the occupation over there and the protest has. So I don't think that this is anything new. I appreciate that it was an opportunity for some people who really wanted to be able to vent to do so. But it doesn't, I'm not sure that it gets us closer to a solution, and I'm actually fearful that this is some kind of way so that we can ramp up some efforts so that we can have a more aggressive, and I think the first person said we need to get more aggressive, we need to get in there, and I actually think that there's a lot of the protesters that would like to move on to the next phase and figure out what we can do to really solve and address some of the bigger and the deeper problems. We also saw this map about the shot spotter, and if you look at, we know there's significant disparities not only in this, if we look at it, in fact, the same areas here are also the same areas where we see difficulties with infant mortality. We see challenges with reading levels. We get life expectancy, everything else. So those are the bigger problems that we need to dig into and that we need to deal with and that we need to respond to. And I think that's what people are looking for also is their government to kind of stand up and try to look at some of those bigger and those deeper issues and what are we going to do about it. And I think we have to admit that there's serious structural racism that's going on in our criminal justice system. I mean, we have great cops out there, and we have great cops at the 4th Precinct, and they're talking to people, and they're helping to have a dialogue, and they're listening, and they're working on issues out there. And I think it's worth mentioning that, but we also have a system that's got some serious problems to it. We look at mass incarcerations of certain groups of our citizens, and we look at people who can't find jobs, and homelessness, and those are the inequities that I think we also have to be dealing with. And I'm not quite sure how opening it up for a last-minute venting period with some people apparently who knew this was coming so they could show up to speak is going to solve that when we actually couldn't have a deeper discussion with some of the experts, more of the information, understanding what the problems are, hearing from all sides of it are going to do. And so I hope that we're not going to base this small session on as a foundation for too many big decisions. Obviously, we don't have the ability to direct and guide the police department based on our charter and where we're at. We can approve a budget, we can approve the nomination for the chief, and that's about it. But we can certainly, I guess, use this as a communication tool and a publicity effort, and we can put some pressure on that way. But I just hope that we do this in a more thoughtful and careful way. I would certainly be anxious and eager to facilitate deeper discussions, study sessions. How could we have more people come in and talk to the council about these issues? And I think that we should do that in a thoughtful and deliberate way in the future.
Thank you. I'm going to have the last word on this. And, I will say first and foremost that, in the times that I've been here, there have been a couple of moves to suspend council rules at the full council meetings so that people can address us. And, it's interesting how, the roles have been reversed. And, I find that really strange because, when we talk about committee business, that's the time when we can take comments from the public. And, I think this was entirely appropriate. I don't think there was a set agenda in terms of how we're going to move forward. But I can tell you that, as a council member of Ward 5, where the 4th Precinct is, I have had a lot of communications with folks who want to come and address their grievances with the city council. And this is a place that they can do that. In fact, what's kind of hilarious about this is that one of those folks that wanted us to open it up for people to make comments was actually Dave Bicking, who is here. And, Dave, in some ways, tends not to be on the same side as, the city council. A lot of times, this is one of the situations where, he actually was on the same page in terms of wanting public comments. So, I will set that aside and I will just say this, that when you look at just the 4th Precinct occupation, I find it really hard for folks not to understand the council members who have to represent the 4th Precinct because, our constituents are the ones who have to suffer the most. Our constituents are the ones who have to deal with all of these different things. And I will list all of them. People talk about losing sleep. They talk about loud music and a party just happening on Plymouth Avenue. They talk about drinking openly, smoking weed, armed vigilantes, cars getting their windshields smashed, other vandalism. We talk about graffiti. We talk about people who drive the wrong way on one-way streets now, because in North Minneapolis, there are one-way streets where people are just driving incorrectly. We're talking about people parking illegally on Plymouth Avenue and other streets. We're talking about unlawful fires, some sort of lawlessness. I mean, emergency response is being impeded. Talking about people being harassed. We talk about people who are loitering. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. And, you know, at some point we do have to say, are we going to allow this to happen anywhere in the freaking city? Because this is happening in Ward 5 in the 4th precinct. Are we going to allow this to happen in Ward 2? Are we going to allow this to happen in Ward 10, 9, 11, 12, 13, whatever it is? And I think at some point we have to just, you know, put our foot down and say this has gone long enough. And this is just, I'm just tired. I'm just tired of this. My constituents are tired of this. It needs to be gone. And, I think we've taken a really good tact as a city in terms of asking nicely, asking for a voluntary removal. You know, at some point, I mean, it just has to be a little bit different than that, because, I mean, that tact has not worked. And, you know, my constituents, you know, are sick of it. Council members, I will share with you, you know, whatever my constituents send me in terms of, you know, all the different things that they've complained about. You know, we have a small list up here, but I mean, there will be longer lists that I can share with you. But, you know, look, if this is okay here, you know what, let me just tell you all that, you know, next year I will be camping at every single ward or precinct that is out there, because I am just tired of this. So, with that, if there are no other comments, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.